Hi, Anna. It's such a pleasure to have you as my podcast guest today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm really excited to chat more about your journey, auction houses. You're my first guest with whom we will dive into this part of the art industry. So I'm
Great.
really excited. But before we go that route, I have a few warm-up questions that I usually ask my guests. So if
Love
you can meet any artist from the past, who would it be and why?
it. I thought this was such an interesting question because, there are so many that would be incredible to speak to, but my answer is very much influenced by a recent trip I took to Amsterdam, where I learned about the female artist Judith Leister, who I just thought was such an interesting woman. I'd love to know how she managed to have such a fruitful career in her lifetime during the Dutch Golden Age, um, and what path she went down and how she competed with the men in the industry. I don't know. I would love to pick her brain. And her beautiful self-portrait was just on display at the AGO for a long time for the Making Her Mark exhibition. So that kind of influenced me as well, sort of learning about her.
Fantastic choice. For sure, like one of the artists I really enjoyed when I studied art history.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
beautiful
Really
artist.
interesting. Yeah. And she had such a great career when she was alive. She really, I don't know, forged ahead. I think she'd be interesting.
And then collecting art. If you can own any piece and price is not a problem, what would it be?
Oh, um, this was also a tough question. I think anyone in the art world would have trouble with this one. Again, I'm probably going to come at it from more of a appreciation viewpoint. Um, Las Meninas by Velázquez. I've always just been, as soon as I learned about that painting when I was young, I just thought it was so intriguing. I would love to own it just to study it because I know there's so many theories about the different, the illusion of it, the different viewpoints, who's looking where, what is the artist actually painting. Um, yeah, I would love to have that in my own collection so I could just take it in. Yeah.
Mhm. It's a fantastic piece for sure. And you travel a lot for work, so you've probably seen a lot of artworks beyond galleries and museums. What are
Yeah.
some unexpected places you've seen art at?
A lot of really unexpected places. Emily Carr on a bathroom door, which was hilariously and shocking. A Lauren Harris in Australia, funny place for that to be. And a David Bowie in a dump. Those are my top three weird places to find artworks of great value.
For sure, for sure. And what do you think makes an artwork timeless on or iconic?
Um, I really think that's based on a person's connection with the artwork that makes it timeless or iconic to them. I do think that's the great thing about art that you can form different opinions about it based on who you are or where you are in life or what you like, and that makes it timeless and iconic to you. I love that someone can hate an artwork and another person can love it. I think that's fascinating. Uh,
Yeah, I love that quality. Like at least makes you think or feel something.
yeah, absolutely, exactly. Yeah.
For sure. And going back in time a little bit and talking about your childhood, can you tell us a bit more about your creativity? Like what sparked your interest in art? Were you a creative child?
Um, I'm not, I mean, I wish I was creative. I wish I could paint. I wish I could draw. I think that's why I appreciate it so much because it's something I can't do. But I grew up in a family that was very much, we'd go to theater and we'd go to exhibitions and, musicals and the symphony. It was very much an arts and cultural household. So I think fostered that interest in that whole world as a child. And weirdly enough, in high school, we had an art history class that was new one year. And I, signed up to take it out of curiosity. And I ended up being the only student in the class, and they still let it run because it was a bit of a test class. And that really fostered my love of art history because being the only student, I had the full attention of the teacher, and we'd go to museums together and galleries for classes, and looking at art in person and talking about it was so instrumental. that I think that kind of forged my interest going forward from there into the next steps of my career and education.
Yes, and I think curiosity is something that is with you till today.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
how did you find about auction houses? Like, what sparked your interest?
Yeah. Well, when I was at university, I went to Queen's in Kingston and I worked at the Agnes Etherington Art Centre while I was there. And I had the opportunity of, through the connections working there, of getting a summer job at Christie's when there was still an office in Toronto. So I interned for the summer, and that hooked me. I found it so fun. I liked that every day was different, and the artworks that would come in, the phone calls, the characters, the people, that absolutely sparked me. I love galleries and museums, but auction seems so much more I don't know, vibrant to me. And that's what pushed me to go through to that path
I
after school.
agree. And were
Yeah.
there any mentors who guided you on your route?
I've been lucky actually to have a few different female mentors. At the Agnes Etherington, the director at the time, Janet Brooke, was definitely a mentor to me, taught me everything I know about how to look at an artwork, how to handle it, condition reporting, all that, the kind of fundamentals. And then I would say, actually, funnily enough, Leah Carey, who works at Cowley Abbott now with us as of 2 years ago, I knew through childhood, and she helped me get to Christie. She helped me sort of guide my path of the auction world. I have a lot to thank her for. And then I got the opportunity to work with a woman named Linda Roddick at Waddington's, who was instrumental, and my time with her was invaluable, learning about the auction world and how to value artworks. And yeah, so I've had those three really strong women. I'm lucky to still have one today that I work with every day. So that's helped a lot in terms of mentorship.
It's so great to hear because when we think about art industry, especially auction houses and galleries, we think about competition all the time. But
Oh, yeah.
sometimes it's not true. It's all about mentorship and helping uplifting each other.
Yeah, that fostering of relationships between women as well, I think is really important, especially in the workplace. Yeah.
Absolutely. And is there any specific genre or time of Canadian art that really resonates with you deeply?
Hmm. I definitely like more historical Canadian art. So anything that's 19th century. I mean, Canadian art's not that old, but we're
Hmm.
still discovering older artworks. But anything that I can really sink my teeth into that requires research or figuring out the story of the provenance, where it came from, how it fits into the artist's career. Um, kind of a musty story that goes with it. I enjoy anything historical. Of that nature, as opposed, I appreciate post-war art as well, but gravitate towards older artists who sometimes need to have their story told a little bit more, and you need to do
Hmm.
some digging and find out about them.
Yes, and I think in anyone who's working in the industry will all try to stay on top of what's happening, all the news and everything, auction results. What about you? How do you do your research?
Well, it's a little bit based upon, it's a lot of experience of knowing what artists at auction have a record or do well, or what clients are looking for. But then we also use databases, which bring up, past results from auctions that we can research. So we can see the trends of how a certain artwork by a certain artist of this, certain size or date or subject matter has fared at auction. So that plays into our research a lot. Yeah, as well as, just to kind of an idea of what's trending at the moment. There are artists that will always be of interest for collectors, but that does change, which is sort of
Mhm.
why it's fascinating, because you can see a new artist that will do really well, or something that you thought someone would be interested in and it's not. Yeah, so that's generally how we come about our research.
Yeah, I agree. There are always trends in the art world, but they change based on economy or whatever is happening
Interest.
in the industry. Do you collect art yourself? Because you see art every day.
I wish I was a better collector. I think my tastes are possibly beyond my means. there's so much that we see, and there's so much that I love that, I do have a few lovely pieces in my collection. Um, but the things that I'd like to collect, I often end up selling instead. Um, yeah, so I do actually gravitate, as I think probably this makes sense, gravitate towards female artists. So that's kind of where my focus is at the moment of building a collection of that kind.
That's fantastic. I love the curation or the theme that you're going for.
Yeah.
And then now you're working at Cowley Abbott, the auction house in Toronto. Can you give us a little bit of an overview of the company?
Yeah, it's a great company. I have to say, I feel really lucky to work here. It's 11 years old now. It was started by Rob Cowley and Lydia Abbott, the Cowley and the Abbott of the auction house name. And they both came from auction houses beforehand. And I've known them for years and years. We worked together, gosh, 15 years or so ago at another auction house. And so they started this together with the idea of kind of getting more into that online auction world. They saw that online auctions were something that people were really interested in, and that was a future endeavor. And they hit the ground with that and kept going and made this more of a boutique auction house. We're a small team. When I started, there were 5 of us. Now there are, I think, 14 of us. We've grown a lot, especially during COVID, which was a bit of a funny time, but thankfully we did really well. Um, yeah, so it's a auction house that focuses on live sales, online sales, but we like to really focus on our client services and that boutique feel of, clients coming in and building relationships and really helping people find the artworks that they really, really want.
Yeah, I feel like the Cowley Abbott auction house has such a great reputation in the industry. Every time like clients call in and say we need to resell, and it's something that galleries usually don't sell through their platform, we usually say like go to Cowley Abbott. They might be the best people to help you.
That's
So
nice to hear.
and I remember my times when it was with Boshi Gallery, like I worked next door.
Yeah.
Perfect location, and I think you guys always do great auctions when you have great collections on the walls. But talking about auction houses on the global scale in the ecosystem of art industry, what's the place of an auction house? What's its role?
Yeah. It's I think it has a bigger role, possibly within that's grown within the last 5 years than it did before. I think that people are more comfortable with going to an auction house as a place to find an artwork, and as a place to sell an artwork. Um, I don't think there's as much hesitancy to kind of dive into that secondary market as opposed to selling something privately or at an art gallery. Those are still very important routes, but I do think auction houses are playing a bigger role in kind of commanding a bit of the market and where that interest lies for certain area or artists and periods. Um, it certainly seems to be more popular, for lack of a better word, which is great for us. We're glad that auction houses can hold such an important space in the market, especially in Canada. Because that art market is certainly still growing and burgeoning. Yeah.
Yes, I agree. And I think one of the questions everyone has in their minds right now, what does the job of a senior art advisor at an auction house entails? Can you tell us more about the day-to-day life and what you do?
Yeah, sure. Um, well, it's different every day, which is great. Primarily, though, really, it's about meeting with clients, providing values, whether or not you're going to people's homes or they're coming into our office with their artworks. It's a lot of looking at artworks that we can possibly sell at auction through our live and online sales. And then once we've got that artwork in hand, it's all about selling it from that point. So we're bringing it into the gallery, we're condition reporting it, cataloging it, and then seeking out buyers for those different artworks. So building that relationship on the buying and selling side, which is kind of funny. But also fun because you can bring in a painting in and then see it all the way through to finding its new home. Yeah, and there's lots of different tasks that go along with being specialist at an auction house. You're always learning, you're always researching, you're always talking to academics and curators, which is really wonderful to be able to have that constant communication. Yeah, and it's a small world, the Canadian art community. So everyone knows each other, everyone's fantastic. And I find that each day is full of something new. I'm always learning. Yeah. So it's a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but the real basis is finding art to sell and then finding the buyer for that artwork too.
Mhm. And I think no matter where you work in the industry, every day is different, even though you do have a set um, tasks or a set things for you to do. At the same time, like as you mentioned, it's a continuous learning. What do you think some set of skills that some people need to have when they think about like I want to work in the auction houses?
Yeah. I think really, it's a very client-based kind of service. So I think you need to be comfortable with talking to people and being engaged and listening. Um, you also need to be able to have a comfort around handling art, which can be a scary thing, because we handle such a vast number of artworks. We have so many works coming in and leaving all the time that you need to be comfortable with the idea of really looking at an artwork, handling it, taking it apart, um, so you can, get an idea for it, condition report it, etc. Also, having discipline in terms of research, um, having a curious mind, I think helps as well. And team building, because it is really a team. Everything relies on everyone else here. To get an auction up online, for example, to hang artworks in the gallery, shipments coming in and out. We're a small team, for example, I'm traveling a lot, so I rely on my team here to make sure that cataloging happens, condition reporting is going on, phones being answered, clients are being seen. So it's juggling too. You have to be very good at prioritizing. Something may seem, high importance, and then that can change swiftly because a phone call from a client comes in and you need to rush off to go see them. But that makes it fun at the
Yeah.
same time. Yeah.
And I can relate 100%. Like usually you have a plan and then you don't have a plan at the same time.
Yeah, it all changes in a second. Yeah.
Yes, and then maybe we can start going step by step of the process itself. So if someone has a piece or a collection, they would like to sell at an auction. What's the process of consigning?
Yeah. So essentially, we would go to that person's home or office, take a look at the artworks. We, measure them, take notes, etc., in order to provide them with a proposal that would outline an auction estimate for each artwork, what kind of sale we could put it into, what we really suggest for the best avenue to sell the work. And then if that client decided they wanted to consign, we would go pick up the artworks, bring them to the gallery, and then proceed with offering them an auction. And we're very, being in touch with the client the whole time is really important to us. We like to keep them, because it can be a bit of a scary process to hand over your grandmother's artworks or something that's really special and important to you. So we're very intense about calling clients, keeping them up to date on what's happening. When an auction's on, letting them know how their artwork's doing, how it's sold, how the interest is. So that's kind of the process.
And do you specialize in any specific genre or time period, or anyone can bring any piece from no matter where it comes from?
Our specialty is Canadian art and international art. So paintings, works on paper, sculpture really is our expertise here. We have an international art department now as of about 2.5 years or so, which is fantastic because so many collectors have, a huge range of works. It's not always Canadian. So we're really happy to be able to offer that expertise as well, that we can look at your Andy Warhol and your Lauren Harris, for example.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So then you have works that are consigned and you have an auction. How does the bidding process happens?
Yeah, so it's different for online auction
Mhm.
versus live auction. Online auction, of course, everything takes place on our website. You register to bid, and then you can either place your bid straight away. The auctions are open for bidding for a 2-week period. You can place your bid straight away, or like many do, you can wait until the very last hour before the lot closes and then strategically place your bid, which can be a bit stressful, but very fun to watch all that, excitement right at the end. For the live auctions, you can bid in person or you can bid over the phone with our staff. We always have a big phone bidding table where all the staff are set up and we're on the phone with different clients, across the country and to the States or around the world, really, bidding with them. Or you can bid online as well at a live auction too. We offer that service as well, which interestingly, this past live auction in the spring, which took place in early June, a lot of bidding took place online. That's certainly something we've noticed, that there's a lot of comfort with the idea of bidding online more than there used to be for a live auction. And then the last way that you can participate is to place an absentee bid. So you can place that bid ahead of time and then go off on your trip and not worry about it. We'll just let you know how you did.
Yes, I do think that you offer so many options for you to put a bid or select a piece that really resonates with you. I personally did once bidding
Oh,
online with an online auction. Like I always check what's happening. There was a little piece that I really liked, but then it went way over that
oh
I
no.
budgeted for. So I'm like, okay, maybe next time.
Yeah.
Lucky collector who got it. So for all the people who decided to go forward with the bid and won the auction, what happens next?
You will receive a copy of your invoice. Well, first of all, actually, sorry, you'll get an email to say that you've been successful in the online auction, and then you receive a copy of your invoice the next day. And then you have about a 2-week period to pay and pick up or have it shipped to you. We'll help you with all those, nitty-gritty details of how to get it to your home in BC or in Nova Scotia. Or you can come and pick it up, or you can store it here until you're ready to come get it. There's lots of different avenues, but yeah, it's pretty easy from that point on.
And what happens if someone didn't sell the piece or if someone didn't pay for a piece?
Yes. Okay. So if an artwork doesn't sell in the auction, we usually keep things kind of available for private sale opportunities after the sale. So maybe someone missed the auction or they were watching the artwork and saw it didn't sell and kind of hope they can offer a lower price. So we'll take after sale offers to the sellers of those works and see if we can sell it that way. But if that doesn't work, we can either return the artwork to the consigner, we can reoffer it in auction down the road. Sometimes we can offer it privately through our private sales department, which is a really nice option to have. Peter Oler handles that for us, and he's great at kind of finding different clients that maybe we won't reach through auction. If someone buys an artwork through or bids, but then doesn't end up fulfilling it or completing their invoice, that is a bit of a tricky situation. It doesn't happen, knock on wood, very often at all, thankfully, because we go through pretty vigorous steps in order to make sure everyone that's participating is serious about bidding and buying the artworks, because that's not fair to the sellers to be watching the bidding and see their artwork sell and then not have a good result.
And for someone who might be new to the auction art industry in general or want to know more about the financial side, is there a fee for them to consign a piece? How does it usually work?
Yeah, so it's a bit of a sliding scale for the commissions that we deduct when you consign. So for example, it could be anywhere from 10% to 25% based on the value. So if something were to sell for $7,500 and over, it's a 10% selling commission that we deduct. And our company is great because well, great, of course, but great in the sense that it's all-inclusive fee. So that includes insurance charges, photography, but we're not deducting anything else. It's just that one number, 10%, that comes off when you sell. On the buying side, it's 20% buyer's premium on top of the hammer price when you purchase something at auction, plus taxes, of course.
Yes, and I think it's almost the same no matter which auction house you go, so it's pretty standard. Um,
Standard. Yeah.
so there's nothing surprising coming up when you do this process. But I do think like it's always exciting to find something that you're not going to see in the galleries coming up on the auction.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the number of artworks that you get to see at auction that you wouldn't normally get to see because then they'll go off into private hands. It's really, we encourage people to come in and come to the previews and look at the artworks, even if you're possibly not going to be buying, just so you can see the artworks and learn about the artists, because they will go back into a private collection and you might not see them again for years and years.
Do you offer any advisory services for clients who want to build a collection around specific theme?
Yeah, we do. Absolutely. Yeah, it's, one of the fun parts of the job to kind of help curate a collection with a client, and see what direction they'd like to go in. Recently we've done that a bit with possibly, younger buyers who are just starting to get into the auction world and getting their feet wet, and helping them figure out what they're interested in. Or it could be, someone who's collected for a long time, but suddenly they want to switch it up and move from Group of Seven to Painters 11 or post-war art. Yes, we'll absolutely offer those services.
Yeah, that was my next question actually about the demographic. I feel like with online auctions, more and more younger collectors, I would say in their 30s, getting into the market. What are they looking for these days? Is it something more contemporary?
Yeah, it's a mix, I would say that the younger buyers, they generally go for more contemporary works, but then sometimes they really want that classic Group of Seven landscape. They gravitate towards that too. That's actually something that we really take seriously, is trying to find younger buyers. We have something called 5 which is a special group of younger collectors and younger art lovers that we hold parties for and send out, newsletters about what they can possibly be interested in at auction, in the hopes of encouraging younger buyers to realize that you don't have to spend thousands of dollars. You can come and collect a beautiful original artwork for a couple hundred, and you don't need to go to IKEA or Winners. So that's, something we're really trying to go in that direction of finding newer buyers and
Yeah.
younger ones. Yeah.
I see the same trend for younger collectors. It's either, oh, I'm so tired of what I've seen from going to museums with my parents and grandparents. So, like, I still miss what I saw during my childhood. So, I want something similar.
Yes, they want a little bit of both, which is totally fine. I can
Yes.
understand that. Yeah.
Absolutely. But the idea about those events for younger collection, like, I feel that you do a lot of education for the general public in general. Are there any other type of events anyone can go to learn more about what you do?
Yeah, we usually hold a lot of events around the live auction period, so in the fall and the spring. And like you're saying, we really try to make them educational. So we'll have a curator or an academic or someone who's recently published a book on an artist come in and hold a talk with us. Really, so it's for us too, so that we can learn, have a deeper knowledge about the artworks. And it's always nice because it brings the community together in a different way. We hold those events kind of focused around the live auction. So we've had, educational evenings with Sarah Angel from the Art Canada Institute, Charlie Hill, who's a former curator at the National Gallery, who's such an endless, fantastic resource to us. And recently with Ian McLaren, who wrote the recent books on Paul Kane, as well as when we do hold these 5 evenings. That's more the specialist sort of trying to engage with those younger buyers, and we usually try to have an educational component of the evening, talking about a selection of highlights that are currently available for sale.
And the amount of artworks you see every day coming throughout the auctions and when you do your research is kind of like you have a great memory, I feel like now, of everything you saw. Were there any remarkable artworks that you saw come into an auction that left a really lasting impression on you?
Yeah. Well, I hope I have a good memory now. Um, I would say probably most recently was the private collection of Canadian art that we handled over the course of 3 different auction seasons. That is going to stay with me forever. Absolutely a highlight of my career, because that collection was full of such rare works by Canadian artists, museum quality caliber, that, you know, a collection of that size and value, I don't know if we'll see something like that again in the near future. Handling works by, Helen McNichol and Florence Carlyle and James Maurice and Lauren Harris. And there was just a really fantastic collection of artwork that I learned so much, and was a true privilege to be able to handle those artworks across basically 2 years. That was probably the most remarkable thing so far.
And when we talk about artworks that people collected for investment purposes or inherited, maybe, why did they decide to depart with those, not to keep them and handle and then maybe give to their children, grandchildren, and continue having them in the collection?
It can be a variety of different reasons, maybe they've inherited them from their parents, but it's just not their style.
Mhm.
They don't have the room for it in their house, and they'd rather it go to another home and they take the funds and buy something else. Or it could be as simple as, we're working with an estate. Someone's passed away and the executor needs to sell everything off. So it comes from a few different avenues. And then, of course, there's the primary collectors who are looking to sell something so they can buy something else. So it's a whole host of different reasons.
And I feel like with the technology and all the new ways for us to promote art, stay connected to people, you have way more tools to reach people. So, tell me also about the COVID times, maybe like how those times change what you're doing now. And like, obviously, online auctions are on the top of your list, I assume, right now, like of how
Yeah.
popular they are. So, how you use technology in general.
Yes. COVID was such a funny time. We were really lucky as a company. I think we all worried, as did the whole arts community, that things were not going to go very well. And it was just the opposite for us. Technology really, really played a pivotal role. We already had the online auction platform set up. So the very fact that we could continue to hold online auctions was really fabulous. We really relied a lot on Zoom calls with clients, something like this, where you could show someone an artwork
Mhm.
in depth, or a FaceTime call. We even went as far as going to people's houses and standing on their driveway with an artwork so they could see it. Or they'd come to us and they would park in our back parking lot, stay in their car, and we'd bring the artwork out to them to see. Because for a lot of people, it's still very much, they want to get a feel for that artwork and the colors, and that's really important to them. But then a lot of buyers, were very comfortable with the idea of trusting, our expertise and how we present things on our website. So we're very, we make sure that the colors of a painting are always true, for example, when we offer something online, so that someone can be looking at it on their phone or on their monitor and know that what they're looking at is true representation of the artwork. And condition reports played a huge part in that as well, sending lots of photos. Yeah, but having that online platform for the sales really helped propel forward online auctions during COVID. Yeah, we just sort of curtailed the way we did things and made it work. And we were really, really lucky. We benefited a lot. People were buying more than ever. It was a very interesting time. I think a lot of people were at home, of course, decorating offices, looking for ways to spend their time, and possibly thinking start investing in art now. Yeah, it was a very funny period.
I think having online auctions also allow you to tap into international collectors market.
Yeah,
Um, do you still have more Canadian collectors acquiring pieces, or it's all over the globe?
it's all over the globe. as you said, having an international kind of reach with online auctions, being able to promote internationally through, all forms of different marketing has really helped increase our buyers to be international. For example, at our recent live auction, the international art portion, we sold 2 works by an artist named Raza. And all of us on the phone bidding table were all bidding with buyers in India. It was incredible. There was so much, international interest for these artists that we've really noticed. It doesn't matter where they are, as long as you can send photos, talk to them on the phone, do a Zoom call, provide all the information possible, they'll be interested and they'll bid.
That's fantastic. And are there any other auction houses internationally that you admire and look up to as a good example?
Yeah. I mean, I'm probably going to go with Christie's because that's where I did my master's degree, and I have such respect for the way that they're an old company that has solidified their role in the market and knows how to do things, knows how to present art, how to market it. Very classy way that they do things. I certainly admire the collections that they are able to amass and their international reach. I had such a fantastic experience with the school there, and getting to go to the auctions and go behind the scenes at the auction house and talk to the specialists. That greatly encouraged me to continue with working at an auction house.
Yes, I definitely admire them too, and I think they're one of the best auction houses. But I think like when we talk about auction houses in general, there are quite a few misconceptions, so things people don't know. Do you want to break any myth about auction houses that you might encounter?
Um, I think that possibly one of the myths is that we're not very transparent and that there could be funny business going on. But everything is out in the public. It's all there for you to see. Online auctions, you can see everything that's happening. Live auctions, even more so. You know exactly who's bidding. I mean, not exactly who's bidding, but if you're in the room, you can see how many people are bidding, how many bids are coming online, who's on the phone. It's also transparent. That I do find it sort of funny sometimes when that idea that there could be, you know, secret dealings going on. It just doesn't make any sense because it's not possible. It's all out there. We publish all of our results. You can research it all, go on the databases. It's all there to see.
That's so interesting to hear because usually I hear the same thing about art fairs, not auction.
Yeah, really?
Yes.
Oh, interesting. In what way?
People do know, like, especially last year, I went to Miami Battle Week, and everyone was like, oh, it's probably all about money laundering. And yeah, you never know, but I feel like with auction houses, everything is on the auction. Like, you see the
Yeah,
prices.
it's all there. It's all there to see and take in as you will. We're not hiding anything. It's all public out in the public.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is kind of funny that it is really. It's all we can't control anything really beyond, it's there for you to see.
Yeah, I think one thing we didn't talk about is the authenticity of the pieces that you get to the auction. How do you know and check that it's a real piece from the
Yeah.
artist?
So it's a mix of having experience with that artist and also doing research again. Um, so, a work might come in to us, and through the general process of when we assess something for potential consignment is asking about the provenance. We always want to know where you acquired it. Did you inherit it? Did you purchase it at auction, at a gallery? Did you find it in a consignment shop? We want to get as much information as possible because that helps to establish the story for the artwork and the history. And if that doesn't add up, then we will usually dig into the books, see if we can find similar subject matter, similar examples by that artist. And then we'll take it another step and talk to academics and experts on that particular artist to see what they might think about the work. But we can generally tell if something doesn't seem right. Once we hold it in our hands, you get a feel for, maybe the medium isn't correct. Maybe it's on a funny kind of support. Maybe the paint looks too fresh. We'll go through all those different motions of kind of putting the puzzle pieces together to see if it makes sense.
Yeah, and I know a lot of collectors always ask like, "Oh, I need to get like the certificate or like assessment," and that's part of your service. Like if someone wants to sell through the auction, you do the appraisal as part of the process.
We do the appraisal, yes. We don't authenticate per se using that word, but we will assess an artwork and advise you if it is, if it can be attributed to that artist, if it's something that we could uphold as by that artist and we could offer at auction. That's kind of how we come about our assessments. If we didn't feel comfortable that the work maybe isn't right, maybe isn't by that artist, we would be very honest and upfront with
Mhm.
the client about that.
And then fall is almost around the corner. Do you have any exciting events coming up at the auction house?
Yes, well, we have all of our summer online auctions taking place, but we're
Mhm.
all, of course, working towards our next live auction. And with that, most of us are traveling across Canada. I've just been on a trip to Nova Scotia and PEI. I'm about to go to Newfoundland and New Brunswick and hold some valuation days there. Also hitting up Kingston this weekend for a valuation day. So that's a lot of what we do in the summer. We travel across Canada, meet with clients, provide valuations and hold valuation days in an effort to kind of find consignments for the fall and connect with people we haven't seen for a while and work towards that big live catalog auction.
That's fantastic. Like when I think about auction houses, I usually think, oh, you're usually in the office and the pieces get to you. But like this part of like going and knowing the collectors and their
Yeah,
stories, I think it's very rewarding.
it's really rewarding. It's very enriching, I think, to go to the different regions of Canada and learn about those artists and meet those clients in person. It's really important to Cowley Abbott that we travel and make that effort to meet with clients across Canada and not just stick to the office in Toronto, for example. We want to really be engaged with the community, which is very much why I'm going to Atlantic Canada almost every 6 months to really learn, meet the curators, the academics, the dealers, the consultants, and get an idea of what the collecting is like out there.
Absolutely. And then for everyone who are listening and would like to learn more about Cowley Abbott Auction House, where they should go.
Well, you should come to our website, cowleyabbott.ca, which is full of information about all the auctions taking place currently, what auctions we have coming up, what beautiful, exceptional works we've just sold, or just come by. We're open Monday to Friday. We've always got art on the walls. We're a very friendly bunch. We love when people walk in and, they'll be at the AGO and then they'll come across the road and just want to see what's on the walls and learn about some art. Really, so we're come in anytime. It's we never want anyone to feel intimidated about walking into the gallery space. It's very much a fun thing for us to talk to people.
Yes, it's a beautiful building. You have great space, great location, and I highly recommend everyone listening check the website, maybe bid from
Yes.
time something sparks your curiosity. You can add a little beautiful or big piece, whatever you find out. And I feel like it's an exciting process to be part of an auction itself.
Yes, it is really fun and come to the live auctions. You can come and sit and watch it. It's a very exciting evening. And come to the previews. It's a great opportunity to see artworks that you won't see again and to learn about them. There's never an obligation that you have to buy something or sell anything. It's all very much community building for us.
And I assume people can sign up for your newsletter on the website, right?
They can indeed. Yep, they can sign up. They can create a profile if they want to, collector profile, just so they can watch the sales. Yeah, all that good stuff is on the website.
Wonderful. And it's such a pleasure to have this conversation with you today. Good luck with all your travels and exciting meetings and everything in preparation for the next auctions. And it's been a pleasure again. I really appreciate the time and your expertise on the topic.
Oh, well, thank you very much. It was really a pleasure speaking with you. And thanks for your interest in the auction world and Cowley Abbott. It's a great place and I'm glad to talk about it and share.